I would like to welcome Mahlon Mitchell to our show, the president of the Professional Firefighters of Wisconsin. How you doing, Mahlon?
Good, JP.
Yes,
Feeling
sir.
good. Got a good haircut, so I'm ready to go.
Yes, sir. We appreciate you coming on the show.
Thanks for having me.
Yep. But I want to let you guys know we're here not to pick sides. We're here to motivate our community on getting out to vote. The importance of voting, having people be aware of what they need to do. And I have a ton of people coming in the shop. So, Mahlon, this is my first question to you.
All right.
What do you say to people that says their vote don't count? I have a lot of people come in the shop, and we try to encourage them to vote. They be like, "Man, my vote don't count."
Yeah.
How do you deal with that?
Well, you know what? First of all, I get frustrated by that for a couple of reasons. I think when you go vote, you got to look at it as more than just going that one day, casting a ballot for that one candidate, just that one time. Voting is so much bigger than just that. And as in football or as in life, we say you got to look at it from a bigger picture. Correct. You got to look at the big picture. And there's a lot of underlying reasons why you should vote. I'll give you a couple. One is being an African-American male. Yes. I'm going to tell it like it is because that's the only way I know how to tell it. And people died for us,
correct,
you and I, to have the right to vote. People died for a lot of people in the barbershop to have the right to vote.
Yes. So
when we don't vote or we sit at home or be so cavalier about it, we're letting that death go in vain. Mm-hmm. It's almost like saying it doesn't matter that we have freedom.
Right.
People died for us to have the right to be free. So we have to vote just for that simple fact, if any, that people died for us to have that right. And it was important to them to die for us. So it should be important for us just to go that one day to the polls and make our voices heard. Another reason is everything that we do in life, in our secular life or our personal life, 99% of it is affected by politics.
Okay, that makes sense.
So the taxes that we pay on our homes, the tax we pay on our income, Social Security if you pay child support, the roads that we drive on, the cars that we drive, the clippers that I just get cut with. Right. They're all regulated by politicians and politics. So voting is our voice or our ability to be involved in that process. Correct. Just by casting our ballot and voting for a particular candidate. Right. And last but definitely not least, it's about resources. Being a statewide candidate and running in the recall election, I got my eyes open to a lot of things. And one of them is that the political pundits, those are the people that guide candidates on where to go, you go where the votes are. Right. So you look at the wards and the voting turnout and the get out to vote effort. And as candidates, you go where the votes are. And conversely to that, once you're elected, the resources come back to the communities that vote. So when we sit back and say, well, politicians don't care about us. Okay. Well, you're right, they don't, because we're not making them care about us, and they don't have to care about us because we're not voting. Right. So once we start voting, and they realize that we can vote them in and we can vote them out, then they will start paying attention to us, and then we will see resources come back to our communities. Mm-hmm. So voting is imperative.
That makes a lot of sense. I hope everybody is getting that message. So for a voter, what do a voter need to do in Wisconsin to be able to vote?
Well, right now, a lot of people try to fool you and say that you need a voter ID to go to the ballot. Mm-hmm. But if you're registered to vote, you can go vote. Okay. And if you are not registered to vote, you can actually do, in Wisconsin, which a lot of states don't have, we have same-day registration. So you can actually go to the polls and actually register to vote with your address, a piece of mail, or something that shows that you live at your current address. Okay. You can also absentee. If you're already registered to vote, you can also do absentee ballots right now, which are going on in our state. Okay. And then within the next couple of weeks, we'll have early voting, where you can go into your particular district and polling place and vote early, so you don't have to wait in lines on November 6th. Okay. So there's so many ways. They make it so easy now to vote that there really is no excuse as to why people aren't voting.
Okay. Do you believe voter suppression will play a part in the upcoming election?
Well, in our state, there's a temporary injunction. I don't want to get too far in the weeds here, but in our state, there's a temporary injunction on what's called the voter ID law. And basically saying that every time you go vote, you have to have a license or a current state ID to vote. Yes. That's on hold right now. So you don't need that to go vote. But in the bigger picture, again, I think voter ID, voter registration, not just in the state of Wisconsin, but nationally, is a suppression tactic given by the far right. And I'm not trying to get political here, but the same people that are working in the John Birch Society, the people that tried to suppress the vote against Martin Luther King in the 1960s, are the same current-day Koch brothers trying to suppress the vote. They call it voter registration. Okay. I call it voter suppression. Okay. For instance, 75% of African American males in the state of Wisconsin between the ages of 18 and 24 don't have a valid voter ID.
Okay.
So you tell me what that means and what it is. I mean, there's obviously trying to suppress the vote.
Right. No votes there.
Right. So they're trying to get the vote, it's trying to stop people from voting. So again, that shows how important it is. It goes back to our topic, is that it's important to vote. They recognize the importance of vote.
Right.
So we got to recognize the same.
Right. And given that statistic of, individuals 18 to 24, we have a lot of people come in our shop, at that age. So it's something that we need to do, maybe in the barbershop, to get those people registered, let them know their rights, about voting, get them active.
Right.
So, it can be a change.
And I think we have two arms for a reason. One to take ourselves to the polls and one to bring somebody else with us.
That makes sense.
So we got to get out there and vote.
Yeah.
And no matter who you're voting for. And I'm not telling you who to vote for. I can't do that, but I can tell you that Barack Obama's on the ballot.
Yes, sir. That's good. That's good. We'll be back with our guest, Mahlon Mitchell, after a word from our sponsor.
Everything we do has politics involved. So the clippers you cut my hair with, the taxes that we pay on our houses, the taxes we pay on our income, Social Security tax, how much this building costs, where this building is, the roads that I use to get over here, all has to do with politics. So voting is our way to have a choice or a say in the political process. And when we don't vote, we're saying that we don't care, that we don't care what is dictated upon us, and we can't do that.
We would like to welcome back Mahlon Mitchell. Thanks for coming, Mahlon.
Good to be here.
Yes, sir. So, Mahlon, what do you think the stakes are for this election, and how do you think it's going to affect the African American community?
Well, JP, the stakes are high. I mean, they're probably as high as we've seen in our lifetime in an election. Real quickly, in the presidential election, the next president, and no matter what side you're on, the next president's got to probably appoint 2 Supreme Court justices.
Okay.
And the reason that's important because the Supreme Court obviously is the last tier of the judicial branch. So when you talk about things like Roe v. Wade, a woman's right to choose, or affirmative action, all that stuff is decided. I mean, even Obamacare, the Affordable Health Care Act, was decided by Supreme Court. So determine whether you are a conservative or whether you are a liberal or a progressive person. That's going to determine who you vote for, obviously, and that's also going to determine who is on the Supreme Court. But there's so many more things at stake, and I don't want to get too partisan, but just from a nonpartisan standpoint, the economy is at stake. There's one side that believes that giving money to the rich and it will trickle down to everybody else is an economy philosophy. There's another side that believes that we got to build our economy from the middle out and middle up, and make sure everybody has a fair chance and a fair shot at the American dream. With taxes, there's one side that believes that taxes there needs to be a tax break to the top 1%. There's another side that believes that we need everybody to have a tax break, and that the middle class right now is hurting, so it doesn't hurt to ask those that have more and those that can to pay a little bit more.
Yes.
And when you talk about things like health care, and you talk about things like Medicare and Medicaid, things that really affect all middle class individuals, not just African American, but everybody, there's 2 different philosophies, and they're really clear. So the best thing for anyone to do is to go online. It's so easy now to be able to learn more about the candidate by going online. You can go on the Barack Obama site, you can go onto the Mitt Romney site, you can go on the Tammy Baldwin or Tommy Thompson site, and as well as your state elected representative site to learn more about the candidates. And I encourage everyone to do that, because no matter what side you're on, you should know the issues and why you're voting for somebody.
Right.
And you can do that by just whatever is important to you. You should look and see what your candidate feels about that issue. And that's a very easy, simple way to get involved in the political process.
Yeah, and that's important, and we'll get those websites for you guys. But one thing I see in the shop is, you have someone come in and they say, I am for Barack Obama, or they say I'm for Mitt Romney, and you ask them what their stances are, and they don't know.
Right.
So, for me, I think it's important to teach people what you're voting for, who you're voting for, you know, what the main piece behind that person you're voting for. And sometimes I see people just don't know.
Yeah.
They're just picking, who they think may talk better,
Right.
or who they, it's just not a good way of.
Reason to pick a candidate,
Yeah.
yeah. Well, and that's true. And there's a lot of undecided voters, and there's a lot of people that don't know a lot about politics. And you don't have to know, be deeply entrenched in politics to know who to vote for.
Right.
Right now, unfortunately, we have just two parties, really, the Democrat and Republican Party. Both have a platform for different things.
Right.
So what I will say is don't believe the hype. Don't believe what you see on Fox News or just MSNBC.
Okay.
Do some research for yourselves.
Right.
And these commercials, the commercials are ridiculous on both sides. So you can't just look at a commercial or look at one debate and make your decision if you don't know already.
Right.
You have to get into that research. And again, the easiest, simplest way to do that is to find out, or you should already know, what's important to you.
Yep.
So one or two issues. And research that, and that will open your eyes to a lot more things, and you'll be a political genius after the next election.
Right.
Guaranteed.
Yep.
But you got to do some research.
Yes.
And you can't just go by what they tell you on TV, because a lot of it's not true, as we know. And a lot of negative ads, we're sick of them. People say they hate them. But there's a reason why they spend millions of dollars to run them, because they work. And I can tell you, when I ran in a recall election, I saw a lot of people voting against their own self-interest. And you do that when you don't quite know the issues.
Right.
So you shouldn't do that.
Yep. So final question here. So 2008, the election 2008, it was huge
Excitement. Yeah.
around it. A lot of people was, getting out. And then you got 2012. What do you see as the difference?
Well, first, honestly, you're never going to have the buzz around a candidate like you had around Barack Obama in 2008. Barack Obama will never even have the buzz that he had in 2008. We see that right now.
Right.
The hope and change mantra, and him just being a different type of candidate was something that I don't think we'll ever see again in our lifetime, and probably ever. But what the problem that you saw in 2010 and 11, this is just my point of view, is that people got involved in the political process. They were engaged.
Okay.
They voted.
Yep.
I don't even know how many people first time voted that year. Probably it was probably record breaking. I think it was. But you can't vote for a candidate and then go home and sit on your couch and say, well, now my life is going to change for the better.
Right.
You have to be an active participant in this process.
Correct.
And it doesn't stop. You have to not just be involved at the federal level for a president, but you got to be involved at the lowest levels, your school board. That's important. That's something that directly affects you. Yep. How much education or how much funding you have for education, for your schools, for those that have children. Correct. And those that don't have children. It's important for them as well. You got to go to the local level as an alder. It's important who your alder is. It's important who your mayor is. And then go to the statewide level. It's important who your state rep is. Right. It's important who your state senator is, and our governor is. And then go to the federal level. We got a U.S. Senate race right now in the state of Wisconsin that is going to be very, very close. Yeah. So people need to do their education on that piece. And then, of course, the presidency. Again, it's about issues, and everything that we do is directly affected by politics. So you got to look, if you look right outside your front window, and get involved. You have to get involved. Do lid drops for whoever your candidate is. Get out there and volunteer for them, and be engaged in this process, because this process directly affects your life.
Yes. Sounds good, man. I sat here and got educated on some things, and I'll try to relay that message out to my clients. But it's good having you here, man.
Do I get a free haircut next time, then?
He doesn't.
There are no free lunches, right?
No free lunches, brother. Yeah.
All right, man.
Yeah, man. It was great having you in.
Thanks for having me.
Maybe we'll have you on the show again sometime.
Sounds good.